we go. Cheers.
Cheers, baby. Yes, I love that. Oh, group cheers. Group cheers. Just one more time. Now we're in.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
So we have 3 of us. We have a legend session. So we're very happy about that.
Oh, I'm happy.
Welcome. We are talking about hope.
We
and
are.
Looking forward to it. We both had some angry songs.
Oh, okay.
Last.
Well, I missed that one. So now I have to go back and watch it. Yeah.
We weren't at our best.
Gotcha.
But
Well, I got out of it and you're still stuck in it.
yeah.
Like
but
you're like,
this
I'm like,
one-
you got to get to hope. Like you got to get there. And you're just like,
So this session is for you.
Yes, I'm fighting. But I let you wallow in your anger.
I did.
For 2 weeks.
I did.
And it's
I
only
do
been
it.
like
I know you just were late.
it's like 10 days.
It caught me at the beginning of our song. So we just did a series, Indie, on Psalms. And, you know, if somebody's new jumping on or anything, the last 4 episodes have all been about Psalms. And we did not want to do the Psalms because I think both of us are very driven, very like, let's get things done, you know, CEO. And Psalms feels like it's never the first book that I go to because to me it feels like, you know, like a tree,
I know.
you know, and you're just like, what does that mean? Do I cut it down? Do I?
What am I getting done with
Yes,
that? I don't know.
Yes. And so we fumbled through the Psalms, literally. And early on when we were doing Psalms, I had like life turned upside down things. And so I was like, oh, there's angry Psalms. So that's the joke that I was Googling the angry Psalms.
Angry songs. And so I'm coming to Psalms with like, oh, there was a song and they're so nice. And, you know, there's metaphors and we're under the palm trees. So, you know, we're going to sort of get into it. And she's like, well, I Googled angry songs. And so I'm like, okay.
Well, I'm dying to know what came up when you Googled that.
There's like 5 or 6 that came up quickly. And I like would read them out in the car to the Lord. And it was like, I kept saying it, which was amazing. It gave me a voice to my emotions, which, you know, our conversation all the time is Kristen and I's personality. We just don't do emotions, right? We're boss lady all the time. It feels like, so we're like constantly like, let's go, let's get this done. And
well, you never get to be off because you're always in
on.
situations where we're leading something, running something, or, you know, and so it just feels like we don't sit and, I wonder what it means. Say, you know, the deer was panting at a, you know, like you just don't get into all that. And so
we spent 4 weeks.
Now I want to go Google where it says the deer is panting.
Yeah.
So
It's lots of stuff, which was great. And so we are just coming out of Psalms.
Gotcha.
And we figured after we sat in Psalms for a long time, we should come out of it with hope, which I got through it quicker because I started quicker. She's still sitting in the Psalms. She's like,
still back in.
Oh,
Which is, it's so weird.
yeah.
It's because I'm really run down and, you know, I'm just like, I've got like things that normally are on my plate are still on my plate, but I'm not dealing with them. So anyway.
I think when we get run down, we lose our patience for getting through things and it gets harder and harder because we're tired. And maybe the challenge there was to slow down and soak them
we
up.
don't know how that. We don't
Okay.
believe in slow.
Well, I'm here today with some emotions. So they
there you
brought
go.
me in. So this is I can tell right now.
Right. Well, and I should say it's not that we don't have emotion. It's just like our emotion is like more of a, I don't even know what the word is like.
It's sort of short and it's like, and
right.
And
usually sharp and short. People are always like, you're
Frustrated.
mean. And I'm like, I'm not mean. Or you're, and I'm like, I'm not. We're just going. And, you know, so it's not that we don't have emotion. It's just we're not
emotion.
sentimental.
It's just
usually.
Well, this should be
just
fun.
sort of not like touches in emotion.
Okay.
It's more like very black and white emotion. And this, the reason I am so mad is because
She's still
few
mad,
things-
literally.
a few things didn't go my way. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, don't I know that. Things not going your way. Yeah.
okay,
We're going to talk about hope
we're 15
today.
minutes in now.
That's okay. This is
We haven't
good.
even introduced
And
it.
what I was going to say when you first started talking about hope, I think we're in week 3 of hope now by the time we get to our legend.
Yeah.
So we've been doing hope for a little bit. And
It's not working.
we're going to stick with hope till we can get Kristen on.
Hang in there.
No, it's all
Got
good.
you.
It's all good. But, and it's not like it just happened with hope, but it's the first time that it came to me. And we were talking about it a little bit earlier. I've had the opportunity to go to seminary, so I've studied the Bible. Like, it's been part of what I do. And I don't know if I've ever actually studied the Bible through the lens of a specific characteristic. In the sense that we've challenged each other to like pick a character of the Bible that exemplified hope. And I've studied, you study Abraham, you study Isaac, you study Matthew, you study Mark. I've read through them all, the story, but I've not studied it through like the story of somebody, looking at it specifically as like hope or management. And we've really been taking themes and trying to find a person or a story in the Bible that fits that theme to us. And, mine was Joseph that we had talked about. And I have studied Joseph forever, but all of a sudden, like reading the story of Joseph, thinking through it, like, okay, Lord, what kind of hope do I see in this story? Changed the story of Joseph for me. Like, things popped out that wouldn't have popped out if I would have just read it. So
also like personalize him.
It did.
Which I think is so different. Like a lot of times, like reread the words, but Psalms did that for us. Really personalized things for us. We did.
Bringing all kinds of emotion.
It's still doing it on this side of the
all that going on. But I think that's what I found. I have a character that her name's Anna, and she's got 3 verses, and it's the same thing. I just thought, oh my gosh, this woman has been widowed for 87 years. And it was just, it very much personalized it, because I was looking at if I was sitting in her position, how difficult it would be to have hope.
Right.
And so I think that's
been
really
good.
It's
really
been very good.
It
has. I'm not really as angry as I sounded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to be here today to talk about it. Yeah.
So legend. Yeah. So we have a legend session. All y'all that are listening, welcome Indie, our friend, and this will be an interesting one for us.
Yeah.
We were talking before because, truthfully, Kristen and I really don't know you that well.
Yeah.
Indie and I met once. I think once, right?
Yeah.
Twice, once in person.
Once that I know of in person. Yeah.
And so I think there was an instant connection when we met.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that like, she gets us. Like there was that. And Indie is a LifeWork alum. And so she went through LifeWork before I came on. So she was with Charlie, who was my predecessor. And so
when you met Tammy, it was the first time you met Tammy.
It was the first time I met Tammy.
About her
I didn't know really about the LifeWork connection, really. And we met and we're like, oh, well, this was planned, not by us, but it was definitely a sign to, nurture that connection and see where it took us. So absolutely.
So this will be the first time that we really have a legend kind of sharing their story that really neither of us know. So most of the legends we've had some background, or I've known one more, you've known one more, but really, Indie, this is kind of new for us. So this is going to be fun for us because really, I think we're just going to kind of sit back and let you share. And really what we want you to do is just tell our listeners who you are, what you do, how you got here, just a little bit about you. We will interrupt because we're having coffee, and that's what we do.
Of course.
We just interrupt. And so,
thank you.
As we have questions, but really we just would like our listeners to learn a little bit more about you. And
well, I'd like that.
How you deal with some of situations of life. Like what do you do? That kind of thing. So,
well, I'll start with, I did attend LifeWork Leadership in 2015, and I'm going to go back to there for just a minute because I think twice now God has, many more times, but what brings me to this discussion today is He's really intervened in my life twice that had to deal with career, and career is a very important thing to me too. So I get it. I also was driven, and I was in the middle of a job transition in 2015. I didn't know it was coming, but the company was about to lay some people off, and I had signed up for LifeWork. And it hadn't started yet. And I can remember talking with Charlie, saying, Charlie, I don't know what to do. This is the worst time in my life to be signing up for a program of any length, of any expense at all. And you know what? He gave me some great advice. He says, I'm not going to, persuade you either way. I want you to just go home and sit on it and pray on it. And in that moment, I did. I mean, it wasn't instant, but I did go home and I thought about it, and I thought, I am being so pulled to go through this program that how can I not just go out, step out on faith? And it really was just me stepping out on faith. So I am not someone with deep knowledge of the Bible. I probably represent a lot of you that are out there who believe, but maybe don't know the Bible as well as we might want to or should. But I was someone whose troubles deepened my walk with God. I will say that. So I did go through LifeWork.
There's a little plug for LifeWork.
Yeah,
great. We didn't
not even
that,
shameless.
But...
I am just putting it out there because it changed me. I have a group of lifelong people that I am connected to. Tons of leadership lessons. I have my Brit that you get right in my home office. I keep it right there to remind me. And it happened again back in 2023. So I too am, very career minded and driven. And in late 23, lost my job. And I thought, wow, I'm in my 60s. Now what? I didn't feel done. But I had wrapped my identity so much into my work. And I know people say that, and I even say it flippantly, but it has a different meaning for me now because it just jerked all that I identified my self-worth to out from under me. I mean, it just jerked it right out. And I thought, what am I going to do now? I didn't know, should I start over? Should I, retire?
What industry were you in?
At that point, I was in transportation and logistics. But I'm I say lifelong, but for 30 years in leadership and executive roles, human resources and organizational development. And so it was devastating. And I thought, wow, I've built up this big career. I've loved it. I love teaching people and developing them. And now what? And I really just did not know where to turn. And I had to pause. I really had to pause once more and say, what is it that you're going to put in front of me, God, that's going to tell me which way to go? And so hope took on a very different meaning for me in that moment. It was less about me wanting, and it was more about me letting. And so what I did. Hashtag.
We find
just flew out, right?
Well, it's funny because you listen to us again, and her and I are in the background. I was going, right? Yeah. And I was like, we have to stop mumbling under people. And you were talking, and I was like,
I'm getting fired up.
That deserves.
At least we should say amen or something. Feels better than like.
We can hold our hand up and we both go
amen. A little card in the background.
That was good. I didn't
okay. Yeah. I love it. I love it.
That was nice.
Yeah. Well, that's how I felt. And so I learned to switch hope to hoping for a really clear sign that I would see on what the next best step for me was. And so there was this whole journey of what to do and just me sitting back and in the moment of tears and despair. And it really rocked me hard. And since I've found that women take that kind of job loss really deep. I mean, regardless of where you're at in life, it's hard to bounce back from that if you've really poured everything into it. But I learned to step back and say, what my hope is not for the next job or for the next whatever. My hope was for, again, clarity of the next best step for me. And once I did that, as scary as it was in those moments when I needed guidance and to be uplifted, I came back to that. And that changes hope instead of, and in fact, in prepping for this session, I went out and started looking at definitions of hope. And the first one I would see would always be desire. You want to desire, there's something you want. But then the next definition would be trust. And isn't that something? So I landed there before I knew that was out there. But hope is, I think it's human. I think it's God puts that in us to trust him that he's got the plan. And, fighting against it and think, because I'm very driven and I'll say, no, I can do this. And life has just been such a seesaw of pushing to accomplish something versus what's the best path for me. And I think I'll do that forever. But boy, the last two and a quarter years have been all about just really sitting back and watching for the signs and the internal intuition, which I think is God talking to you anyway. I think gut feelings are really God feelings, right? So
good guts, right?
We do. And I think just sitting back and waiting for that sign, even in the toughest of times. So hope is really all about just believing that there's a plan for me and to be ready to put my best and my all into it when I know what that is.
So where did God take you? Tell us that part.
God, really, I just
exactly
felt led.
What you thought, right? I mean, it's not how God works. Never.
Yeah. And so, no, he probably took me 80% of the way and then was like, okay, now you figure that. I don't know. But part of what I had done that I loved, I mentioned that a moment ago, which was developing people and watching them grow, believing in them, and I think as leaders, one of the best things we can do is to have a team that you see something in them they don't see yet and tell them that and build that trust. That is right.
Amen. Amen.
Woo, we're going to need a second episode now. But I've always believed in that. And I got a ton of joy. And I just decided, I'm sure it wasn't all me making that decision, right? I just want to do the things that I find joy in. And so I knew that was it.
It's a risk, though.
Girl, you just have no idea how much of a risk that was.
Because that means that you don't have to do stuff that you get paid to do. Like sometimes it's
also
job
true
because you're getting paid to do it, and that just means sometimes you have to do stuff you don't like. And so deciding to just do the stuff I find joy and what God created me to do.
Well, it's a funny thing, right? That happens when the hard work, I used to work crazy hours and I thought, I'm not going to do that anymore ever. Totally not true. I find myself working those hard hours, but they're towards the thing that I love to do. And it's different when you find that. And listen, I was over 30 years in the corporate world. So I'm not somebody who's, never worked at an office. I know I did my years, but I just knew I wanted to do the things based on what I had learned on how to give back to people and help teams and help companies grow and create those incredible workplaces where people are on fire for how they serve others. And there's not a company out there that isn't serving people in some way. And so I coach people to look at it that way and include that in their teams. And so I said, okay, I wasn't going to start over. Here I am starting over. 100%. And while I'm at it, let's write your first book ever. And so there were a couple of days there for about 12 months. I didn't think I was going to make it. But the other thing that I have learned is also pay attention to the signs that you need a break. Just a day or a breath or being willing to put the phone down or am I preaching now? Okay, girls. Okay. These are my women here. That I come back at 120% versus the 70% I'll come back on if I don't just take that break, And so that's my story. And so hope has a new meaning for me now that I let it guide me and trust that it will. And, so far, so good.
One of the sorry, go ahead. One of the definitions that we had come up with hope, which kept, as you were talking, I kept thinking of it, was assured anticipation. And it's this idea that I'm anticipating something, but I'm trusting, I'm sure, this something. Assurance that something.
Yeah. And I think that's the key is right. Like it's the something. It's like, there's an assurance that the Lord is taking care of this and the Lord is watching me and the Lord's got this, but it's not in the circumstances.
Right. You don't know exactly what that assurance is, but your assurance is in God. And we had a sweet young girl who I'm kind of mentoring call the other day, and it was like an SOS text message, like, I need you. And you could just tell there was some urgency to it. And so I called and she said, okay, so here's the situation. What do I do in this situation? I'm looking for a new job. And all of a sudden I have 3 offers on the table. And one of them is with a Christian company. The other ones are not. But I get really excited about this one. And is that like saying no to God? And she's young and you could see she's wrestling through, do I do the one that's more? And, and it was so funny because I said to her too, I said, listen, God called us to an abundant life. He wants you to love what you're doing. There is just as much ministry. I mean, we went through all the stuff when this, and then I said, but at the end of the day, hope is when we have a relationship with Jesus, hope really is the fact that we cannot fail because we really believe that God's got us. So in her mind, I said, if you take this one and it doesn't work out, so what? Like, God will redirect you to where you're supposed to be. And if you take this one and it's not what you wanted, then he'll bring something out.
But you'll get something out of each one of those things that you need for the next step. And as I look back in my years of working and in life, I have found those things, those little nuggets of wisdom or experience that I needed. Number one, to propel me forward, but number 2, to appreciate and understand someone else's strife that they might be, experiencing. Because I think the best teacher of my life has been when things are tough. And I then can relate to someone else who's going through something. So something bad happens to me, I'm going to try to turn that around and give back to the people that are going through it or about to go through it any way I can. That's all I know to do with that. And the sadness around it.
It's so great to hear, bits and pieces at least of your story. Because I think the more we can all do that, I think we help other people. And no, that's what we're trying to do here.
Right.
We can relate. It's not a tragedy that I'm pissy about, right? There are some things that are really, really bad in the world. And neither of us had that. I mean,
right.
She got a ticket or something, right? I mean,
right.
It's just
minimal.
They're at a minimum. And I think when you do have those big crises, which, I've had a few, it is nice to be able to then share it. And as soon as you start sharing it,
something heals.
Crazy.
Yeah, I haven't quite figured out what heals in you when you take what you learn from a situation and help somebody else with it. And I do firmly believe that the reason it feels good to help others, whether it's, I don't know, giving the person $5 for a hamburger or helping a charity or just helping somebody out with a bag of groceries that they need. I think the reason it feels so good is I think we're wired, divinely wired to do that. Absolutely. And that's true in all aspects of our life, including as a leader. Whatever the corporation is, the fact of giving back to the team and helping them grow, that's why that feels good. And I honestly don't shy away from that. I get a lot from that.
We talked a lot about that in calling, and we went through that in LifeWork too. But just when you, I think it takes a long time. I don't know, maybe not for everybody. It took me a long time to get comfortable in my skin and my calling, right? And knowing really what God was saying. This is your gifting. This is what you're good at.
Yeah.
You do that. People know.
Yeah.
It sort of exudes from you.
And we talked about the seeds and how God puts multiple seeds in us. And for a season, your job in corporate America was the seed that God called you to. And then all of a sudden you go through life, whatever that is, and your callings change and God springs up like the tree planted by but the new seeds spring up in you.
Yeah.
And we talk about it all the time. 10 years ago, we wouldn't have been doing a podcast, but that is a seed that God had in us that now has sprung up and we're doing. And
so tell us about your book.
Yes.
And
then I want to hear about lipstick.
Oh, yes. Let's talk lipstick.
I got to talk about that.
So my book, there you go.
Amen.
More hashtags. I'm loving all the hashtags. So my book is called Leadership Truth Bombs, What Your Team Wants You to Know But Isn't Telling You. And it's based on all of my years in work from my entry-level roles, being on a team to moving into leadership and senior leadership, leading teams and building them and developing them. And what I began to notice was there's little things that leaders would do or say that teams would translate to mean one thing or another, and they might have had it wrong. Their perception might be wrong, but still it creates a disconnect. Or there would be things that they would need and maybe they didn't tell their leader. I don't know why. I doubt it's always fear. It's usually more because they're early in their career and they don't know how to say something or if it's okay to say, hey, I need this. So I began to notice those things. And once I left my job, I said, you know what? That's the book, because I had developed a leadership training program around it and was using it, in my last job. And so I had the rights to everything, which I'm grateful for, by the way. But I said, that's the book, because that's a culmination of my whole life's work leading teams. So let me put that in a book. And that's what I did. And that released in April. Yeah.
So say the title again and then we'll put it in the comments, but say it slow.
Another plug, Leadership Truth Bombs, What Your Team Wants You to Know But Isn't Telling You.
What's one of the truth bombs? What's a big one?
You can't cherry pick who to be kind to. You're either kind or you're not. And that's talking about favoritism. So teams hate favoritism because they feel excluded. They're going to be passed over, like you don't like them. None of that may be true, but that's how they feel.
Funny, so I teach out at the university, a class here or there. And after the crazy day that we've had, been up since 1 a.m, cooking and all this stuff that it's just been insane. I had to teach today.
Oh, dear.
And I was rushing into class today. And we were smelling like sausage and eggs in shorts and
that might have made you very popular. I don't know.
There was a hot mess in there. But the class that I'm teaching is 7 Habits of Highly Effective College Students.
Oh, okay. Like a twist on Cubby?
It's Cubby, but he did it for college students. And so they require all freshmen to take this as they come in as a freshman to kind of learn these 7 habits. And so we're on the very first habit. It's the beginning of the semester, and it's being proactive. That's the habit that we're discussing. And somehow, I probably just sheer exhaustion, but I got off on a tangent in class today, and we were talking about favoritism. One professor was like, or one of the students was saying, this professor, blah, 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 was talking about it. And I said, listen, let me just tell you a truth bomb, right? Any teacher or professor that tells you they don't have a favorite student are lying to you. I said, we all have a favorite student. A good teacher just wouldn't show it. And I said, that's the difference. So don't say you don't have a favorite, because we all do. It's just a good teacher or a good leader wouldn't show it.
Yeah.
And they were all laughing. And I'm like, the truth is, because of what you're saying, even in a workplace environment as a leader, I will naturally connect with somebody more than somebody else.
Yeah,
just their personality or ages or kids.
100%.
And so then they become a favorite in that work because there's just connectivity there.
Yeah.
But a good leader or a good boss or a good professor shouldn't show that, right?
Or use it as a parent.
Now that I got my favorite kid.
That's a whole nother show.
But, and they know it.
And you certainly wouldn't.
The others all know it.
They do.
And you certainly wouldn't use that being drawn to one person because of similar likes or dislikes or whatever as a basis for promotion or, delegation or something like that. But the teams don't know that.
Right.
And so I think the best leaders fight really hard to not let that come out and really share their attention more equitably throughout the team.
Well, and sometimes
you're saying fight because
I was going to say
to fight against
every day,
because there are some people that you just connect with. It's easier
to
finish each other's sentences, and then somebody else. It's like boom, 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 and then there's somebody else that you're like, it won't take a minute.
And sometimes I almost overdo it for the one that I don't connect with because of that. Like, you're so aware of like, oh, we don't necessarily have a connection. So I'll almost overdo it because I know there's a little bit of, especially as a teacher in the classroom, like there's that kid that just gets you. And it's almost like you overdo it because
it's true.
As a leader, I can't not discriminate, but I can't have favorites. I can't, I guess discriminate. So that's a good truth bomb. We can go a whole way down that rabbit trail.
Yeah, that actually is my favorite truth bomb, the one about being kind or not. And it really is speaking to as well that you just can't pick the people in a leadership role where your team is looking up to you. They're using you as the example of what they're supposed to grow into and how they're going to lead when they get to that level. And so everything you do, they're watching. I don't mean in a stalky way, but close, because they're paying attention to how you lead, what you say, how you respond, how you act, how you interact with others. So, all of that they're learning through what you do.
I'll just announce you're not our favorite legend because they're all the same.
There you go. Well, I say that in there to make them all your favorites.
Right. They're all did you have an epic fail to get to this point, or did you just
an epic fail?
Like, did you fail at this before?
Oh my gosh.
Like, oh shoot, this is like...
I think I had teams throughout all areas of my career and levels of my career that taught me, and I didn't want to hear it all the time about what I was doing wrong. Let me just tell you. They do.
They might
because my
lot of truth bombs.
Teams from years ago, you taught me so much. Thank you. And I actually dedicate my book to all the teams I've had the honor to lead. So all the epic fails that I had, they're in the book because somehow they're in those truth bombs. I paid attention to them because I learned from them. Some of them not, but yes, absolutely. Things I observed.
Well, I'm just very intrigued about how you wrote a book like this. This is very cool.
Yeah, I just sat, and throughout time, I would remember one thing and another thing and another thing and another thing. And just over time, I developed the program and I used them in there. And then I thought, this would make a book. And it did. And so it really is, it's just meant to help leaders understand and engage their teams more so that they want to come, today's A talent, rock star talent. They don't want to just come to work. They want to come to work with purpose. And we hear a lot of digs about generations today versus generations. But I don't think that's true. I think today's generation is saying, I want to come to work and have purpose all day. I don't want to check out and then go feel my purpose. Mm-hmm. They want all day long to feel like what they're doing matters and it serves people in some way. And so I honor that. I think it's great.
I love that you actually put it all together and that you've done it.
Yeah.
So many times
Thank you.
Get bumped into a book and they're telling me what to do. And I'm like, but you didn't do
You're 12. Like, you haven't done it yet. This is my professors. I have these professors in my program and I'm like, you're 12. You can't possibly know this.
Right. But like, no offense to you, the doctor professor, but like, sometimes you get a professor that's not actually done any.
Right. That's exactly it. Yeah. They just academic book knowledge.
They just taught it. And so I really appreciate the fact that you took the time to do it because it makes a big difference as somebody, as a leader trying to read and learn to actually have an interaction with somebody that's like, look, I did make mistakes and this is what happened and look what I learned.
Well, I tell you, when I'm speaking on it, and I actually was just doing that earlier today, and I asked people, another truth bomb is there are no jerks on a brilliant team, or brilliant teams don't have any jerks on them. It's something to that effect. I should know it offhand, but I don't. But the point is I ask the audience, what defines that? What would make you look at somebody and go, "Ooh, that person's not very nice"? What is that? And then I ask them, so who in here has done at least one of those things? Mm-hmm. So that gets people humble real fast.
Sure.
Because I've done it. I've done it. And so the point of that is remembering how I felt, or asking them to remember how they felt when they experienced that, and just remember that's how your team feels today. And so we got off the thing of hope here, but I just think this is all so powerful.
It gives us hope that we can learn how to be better leaders.
Well, I'll talk about anything, but I just do thank you for your kind words.
I do. I very much appreciate that, because there's a lot of information coming at leaders, and you should have this, or you should read that, or you got to read this book. And, it's really nice to have.
Well, thank you. It wasn't smooth. There was months of crying, and there was some bad words that came out regularly for those first few months.
Not a lot.
Oh, I did.
Now we have the Angry Psalms. You can go back.
I'm going to check out the Angry Psalm. But I kept going because I trusted. I hoped.
And then you have a book, and then you also speak about.
I do.
And teach it.
I do.
That's your main job now.
I do a lot of public speaking, a lot of keynotes and things. I love that. I get such a kick out of that. And I do some coaching. I do some executive coaching. But my favorite thing is going out and teaching through speaking to people.
And how do they find you?
Usually pretty funny. I might push the boundary a little bit once in a while, but...
No. How do they find you if they want to get...
Oh, how do they find me? See, I'm still stuck. I'm still stuck in all the... Yeah.
I was like, wait,
how do you find me? How do you find me? They find me wonderful.
They find me amazing. They find me the world's greatest.
Just like you find me. Fabulous. They find me. My website is my name, IndieBollman.com. And a little bit about me is out there, and how to get in touch with me, and how to book me if you want, which I'd love.
And we can put the website on, for comments and so we can put it. So, but before we go, because we're running out of time, I got to hear about the lipstick, because that was a little bit of what we talked about.
Ladies. Kudos to all my ladies out there. So, in going through this transition where I was struggling, and I would go out and I would talk to people in my wonderful network that I have. And I love men. I think they're wonderful. And I would talk to my men friends in my network, and I'd say, I don't know what I'm going to do. And they're like, oh, well, what do you think you want to do next? And I'm in, tears. I'm melting before their eyes. And then I'd talk to the women. And every woman I spoke to this day even has a story similar to mine. They lost a job or felt they had to leave a job because they were just depleted from it. And it just wrecked them. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to form something that helps these women go through their job transition. And we want to help them move through boldly. It's called Red Lips for the Ladies, Red Lips for the Ladies, because throughout my life, when I've had a really tough time, I wear bright red lipstick that day to just It's my way of getting through it. And not many people knew that. Of course, a lot of people know it now, and all of you. But my best friend, the day I lost my job, I'm crying and I'm texting saying, JoJo, I've lost my job, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And she texted me back the next morning and said, I'm wearing my red lips for you today. And so, I, in the moment, couldn't do anything with it, but I said, we're going to do something with that, because there was a moment where somebody was standing for me out there, even by that simple.
That is so cool. Bring that right around and look at you.
It was, and I have to say, we have helped a lot of women, if even just to be a sympathetic ear, but our goal is to just help them move forward through education and workshops and building that very wonderful, embracive community that just says, we got you. We're here while you're walking this walk. Yeah.
Catherine Way, she was one of our legends earlier on in the thing. I'll never forget. It was the first time I heard it.
I think I actually served on Leader Cast committee with her years ago. Yeah. I'm all in your world.
Look at that. You are. How did we not cross paths? But the first time I ever heard it, it makes me think we were renovating this coffee shop, and it needed a lot of renovation. Let's just say that. And Catherine Way came in her cute little Catherine Way dress and her little white cardigan. I'll never forget it. And, little white tennis shoes. And we're stomping out the bugs from all the stuff, all the crazy stuff when we got in here. And I was a little overwhelmed by all of it at the time. And I'll never forget. She's like, it's just lipstick on a pig. We're just going to put lipstick on a pig. And I was like, that is the best phrase. And I've used it so many times in the same sense where things are bad. And I'm like, okay, that's piggish. It's just, it's, grunting. And I'm like, okay, just lipstick on a pig. Like that's that metaphor, that idea, that vision of, as a woman, especially, if I can just put lipstick on and go, I can get through whatever this
100%.
Well, sometimes you fake it till you make it.
Yes,
right?
for sure.
But I love also the concept of somebody else is doing it
for you.
Yes.
Right. It's for you. It's standing for each other. Yeah. So it's been a real labor of love. It's grown much more than we thought it would. And so it continues to grow. And
do you have to lost
on our team or that we've helped? Oh gosh, we've had hundreds, and I'm careful now how I answer your question. We've had hundreds that we've helped, but our teams are broken into, we probably have 20 people right now there. It's all volunteer. It's not a formal structure. It's if you can help, show up and help. If you can teach, teach. If we're going to have beanie weenies at the party, somebody cook them and bring them, right? It's like that. And so it really just is such a basis on community.
There ends up being some mentoring. There ends up being
there is mentoring, coaching,
serving.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of interview tips, how to do a resume, personal branding, finances, because finances are, a big hairy deal when you're going through a job change. So we have professionals that are willing to give their time beautifully to help the women go through it.
We need some red lipstick.
I'm going to send you both.
We might have to do or pink, because everything's pink for us. So we might need to do pink lipstick. Pinkish.
We'll do one lip red. No, that's weird. Is that too weird? It might be too weird.
The key is we probably just do lipstick, because by the time we get here at the end of the day, we look so bad. We just need
We'll take
lipstick.
any shade.
So, goodness. Well, Indie, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to hear more of what you do and reconnect, and hopefully
yes,
we can get you in table
absolutely.
coaching.
I would love
LifeWork.
that.
And to our listeners, we'll put the book, we'll put her website, all the resources in when we post this. And then that way, if anybody wants to reach out and get in touch,
I would love that. And thank you both.
And we'll
where to buy
your red lipstick.
Yeah.
What kind you get? Yeah.
Any red will do. But thank you both for having me today. What a joy this was. Thank you so much.
It was great.
Yeah. So we are out. Episode 24 out.
24 is over. She's leaving us hanging here.
Is.
There we go.
Great.
Thank you, ladies. Cheers.
Thank you.